Time is the greatest gift every human being receives equally, yet it is also the most misused and wasted possession. To spend time wisely is to spend life wisely, for life is nothing but the sum of our hours, days, and years. When we understand this, we begin to realize that success is not built in one grand moment, but rather in the small, intentional choices we make each day. If you wish to achieve success, if you wish to live a meaningful life, then you must learn to manage your time with wisdom, with clarity, and with discipline. Time is life, and life is time. And when we look deeply into this truth, we realize that every second that slips from our hands is not merely a number on the clock, but a piece of our very existence that will never return, a fragment of our story that is forever sealed in the past. And this realization should awaken in us a profound sense of urgency, for to spend time wisely is to live wisely, and to waste time is to waste life itself. Think of how often people say they want success, how often they dream of wealth, happiness, or greatness, and yet how easily they allow the hours of their days to vanish into meaningless distractions, idle chatter, procrastination, and indulgence in things that bring no value to their growth. They do not recognize that what they call dreams are not distant miracles waiting to arrive, but the results of their daily choices, the way they use their time in this very moment. If you wish to understand success, then do not search for secrets locked away in hidden books or mysterious formulas whispered by the powerful. Instead, look at how successful people use their time, for you will see that the most extraordinary difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is not talent, luck, or resources, but the simple, powerful discipline of directing time toward purpose. Your future self, the person you hope to become, is being built right now by how you choose to spend your present hours. And if you fill these hours with learning, creating, working, and building, then your future will reflect growth, mastery, and fulfillment. But if you fill these same hours with wasting, complaining, and delaying, then your future will reflect regret, mediocrity, and unfulfilled potential. Think for a moment of a book, each chapter representing a single day of your life, and imagine reaching the end of this book, looking back at all that was written, only to realize that most of the chapters are filled with empty spaces, words that mean nothing, hours that achieved nothing, and pages wasted in meaningless repetition. How would you feel if your life story ended this way? Success, my friend, is not built in one grand, explosive event, but in the steady, quiet, intentional use of time, day after day, hour after hour, moment after moment. Just as a great building is not constructed in one night, but brick by brick, so is success constructed in the invisible hours, in the choices no one sees, in the sacrifices no one applauds. This is why every second matters, for the seconds become minutes, the minutes become hours, the hours become days, and the days, when woven together, become the very fabric of your life, a fabric that cannot be undone or rewoven once time has passed. Some people live as though they have unlimited chapters left, unlimited time to correct mistakes, unlimited opportunities to start again, but this is an illusion, for time is finite, and no one is promised tomorrow. What you waste today cannot be reclaimed tomorrow. What you delay now may be lost forever. And so the wise man, the successful man, the fulfilled man, lives with urgency, not with panic, but with clarity and purpose, knowing that every tick of the clock is both a warning and an opportunity. When you understand this, you begin to see that excuses are enemies of time, procrastination is a thief of dreams, and laziness is the silent assassin of destiny. People will tell themselves, I will start tomorrow. I will try later. I have plenty of time. And yet tomorrow never comes. Later turns into never, and plenty of time becomes no time at all, and by the time they awaken to this truth, they have already lost years that can never be returned. On the other hand, those who value time, who guard it like treasure, who use it as though every moment matters, become unstoppable forces, because they understand that the world may take away many things: money, possessions, opportunities. But no one can take away the hours they themselves waste. To spend your time wisely is to choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort, and legacy over laziness. It is to look at each hour and ask, what am I building with this? Every moment is either a brick in the mansion of your success or a stone thrown away into nothingness. And when the mansion is complete, the world will admire it, but they will never see the hours, the sweat, the choices that built it. Time is not controlled by the lazy, it belongs to the disciplined. It does not serve the one who wishes, it serves the one who acts. It does not reward those who drift, it rewards those who focus. That is why to spend time wisely is the first, the most important, the non-negotiable foundation of success. Let the clock no longer be your enemy, make it your partner, your tool, your servant. Begin today, not tomorrow, for today is the only gift you truly own, and every second you waste in hesitation is a second stolen from the life you could be living. Remember always, success is not something you wait for. It is something you create, moment by moment, hour by hour, through the wise and intentional use of time, and the life you dream of is waiting, not in some distant future, but in how you choose to spend the very next second of your precious existence. Chapter 2. Success requires clarity, and clarity demands that you choose where your time goes, because time without direction is like water poured into a leaking vessel. It runs out, no matter how much is given, and leaves nothing behind. Many people live their days reacting to circumstances instead of directing them. They wake up without a plan, they move through the hours without priorities, and at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel unfulfilled, why their dreams remain distant, and why progress seems like a stranger that never arrives. The truth is simply you cannot hit a target you cannot see, and you cannot achieve goals you have not defined, and so your time becomes scattered, divided among countless distractions that look urgent but bring no real value. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast desert with no compass, no map, and no direction. You may walk for hours, you may even run, but no matter how much energy you spend, you will not reach a meaningful destination. This is the tragedy of those who do not give their time purpose, who allow it to be consumed by meaningless activities, who live busy but not productive lives. To spend time wisely is to decide first what matters most, to draw a clear picture of the future you desire, and to align your hours so that every step takes you closer to it. Without clarity, life becomes noise. With clarity, life becomes music. The question that every person must ask daily is simple yet powerful. What truly matters to me? What action, if I take it today, will carry me forward toward my vision? What habits, if repeated consistently, will transform my life? It is not enough to merely be active, for activity without direction is wasted energy. Too many confuse movement with progress. They chase endless tasks, they drown in obligations, they satisfy others' demands, yet they neglect their own destiny. And when they pause to reflect, they discover that they have climbed ladders leaning against the wrong walls. To avoid this, you must not only ask what is urgent, but what is important, not only what demands your attention, but what deserves your attention. Urgency shouts loudly, but importance speaks quietly, and the wise are those who learn to listen to the quiet voice of importance over the noise of urgency. Your emails, your notifications, the demands of others may seem urgent, but will answering them bring you closer to your dreams? Often, the answer is no, and if you are not careful, you will spend your life being busy without ever being fulfilled. Clarity transforms time into a weapon of power. It allows you to cut away the unnecessary and focus on the essential. Think of a sculptor carving a statue from a block of stone. He does not strike randomly. He chooses each strike with precision, knowing exactly what he wants the stone to become, and each strike brings him closer to that vision. In the same way, your hours must be chosen with precision. each directed toward shaping the life you desire. Without clarity, you strike blindly, wasting energy, damaging the block, never shaping it into anything meaningful. But with clarity, every strike, every hour, every action builds the masterpiece of your destiny. Consider the difference between those who succeed and those who do not. It is rarely a matter of intelligence, talent, or even resources. It is a matter of priorities. Those who succeed, CHTR3, one of the greatest secrets of successful people is discipline, and discipline is not about force or punishment, but about choosing purpose over comfort, commitment over distraction, and focus over ease. For time belongs not to those who desire, but to those who act consistently with intent. Discipline is the bridge that connects vision to reality, the structure that transforms good intentions into tangible results, and without it, even the clearest goals and the brightest dreams collapse into wasted potential. Consider how a person may decide to learn a new skill, start a business, or improve their health. Without discipline, these remain wishes, ideas spoken or written, but never practiced. With discipline, even small efforts, when applied regularly, create compounding progress that cannot be denied. To understand discipline in the context of time, recognize that every day offers 24 hours equally, yet the way those hours are used depends entirely on the individual's capacity to resist immediate pleasures and distractions in order to achieve long-term benefits. The principle is simple but powerful. An hour of focused, disciplined work each day accumulates into 365 hours in a year, and this quantity of the wetted effort is sufficient to develop expertise in a subject, build the foundation of a business, or significantly alter the course of one's personal growth. Many underestimate the power of this steady accumulation, believing success requires sudden breakthroughs or grand opportunities, when in truth it often emerges from the consistent repetition of disciplined choices over long periods of time. Discipline also brings order to decision-making, because it reduces the conflict between what a person wants in the moment and what they value in the future. When someone lacks discipline, they are controlled by impulses. The temptation to waste time on entertainment rather than study, to delay work in favor of comfort, to prioritize short-term satisfaction over long-term achievement. However, when discipline is present, choices align with priorities, and time is preserved for meaningful activities rather than wasted on fleeting diversions. This alignment is what distinguishes the person who dreams about success from the person who achieves it. Discipline requires that you train yourself to act, even when you do not feel like it, to continue moving forward when enthusiasm has faded, and to treat your commitments as non-negotiable. For example, a student who studies daily regardless of mood, a writer who writes every morning without waiting for inspiration, or an athlete who trains consistently despite fatigue, all embody the principle that discipline, not motivation, sustains progress. Motivation may initiate action, but discipline ensures continuation, and in the context of time, continuation is what produces measurable results. Moreover, discipline creates freedom rather than restriction, because by establishing structure, it eliminates the hail-synthesis and the stress of last-minute actions. A disciplined person who organizes their time into routines and consistent habits is able to accomplish more with less stress, leaving room for reflection and creativity. In contrast, the undisciplined person spends more time reacting, scrambling to meet deadlines, and repairing the consequences of neglect. In this sense, discipline is not a limitation but a liberation, freeing individuals from the tyranny of wasted time and the burden of regret. It ensures that effort is applied in the right direction, at the right time, with enough consistency to produce desired outcomes. Another important dimension of discipline is accountability. When individuals hold themselves accountable for the way they spend their hours, they reinforce discipline by creating standards they cannot ignore. This accountability may come through self-monitoring, such as maintaining schedules or journals, or through external structures such as mentors, partners, or organizations that demand consistency. Regardless of the method, accountability transforms discipline from an abstract ideal into a practical reality, reminding individuals daily that time is a resource not to be squandered. In conclusion, discipline is the essential principle that ensures time is not wasted but invested. It is the mechanism by which small, consistent efforts accumulate into major achievements, the safeguard that prevents distraction from stealing hours, and the tool that grants individuals the freedom to live with purpose rather than chaos. To live without discipline is to drift without direction, allowing valuable time to vanish without producing meaningful results. To live with discipline is to ensure that each hour, no matter how small, contributes to the building of a greater future. Therefore, when we say that discipline is one of the greatest secrets of successful people, we mean that it is the consistent practice of aligning daily actions with long-term goals, and in this alignment lies the true mastery of time. C-4 wasted time is more dangerous than wasted money, for money lost can often be regained, but time lost is gone forever, unrecoverable, a part of your life erased with no chance of return. And this is why the wise guard their hours with more care than their wealth, understanding that every passing moment is both a gift and a responsibility. When you waste time through procrastination, gossip, endless entertainment, or idle distractions, you are not only losing hours but also surrendering opportunities, dreams, and progress that could have been achieved within those hours. Think of how many great inventions, books, or businesses never came to life simply because their creators allowed themselves to be trapped by laziness or delayed by fear, convincing themselves that tomorrow would provide a better chance, not realizing that tomorrow never guarantees itself. Procrastination is not harmless. It is the silent thief of destiny, stealing potential bit by bit until an entire life has been squandered. Consider the young student who delays studying until the last minute, the professional who keeps postponing a project, or the individual who always says, "I'll start tomorrow." Each is deceiving themselves with the illusion of time, forgetting that one day there will be no more tomorrows to wait for. To waste time is to waste the very fabric of life itself, for hours add up to days, days to years, and years to an entire lifetime. And when you look back, what will you see? Will you see growth, contribution, and progress, or regret, emptiness, and missed chances? Protecting your time requires courage, because it often means saying no, and saying no is difficult in a world that constantly demands your attention. Friends may call you to join in meaningless activities, colleagues may distract you with gossip, devices may tempt you with endless notifications, and your own mind may whisper that comfort is better than effort. To protect your time, you must be ruthless with what does not serve your vision, treating your hours like treasures hidden in a chest, treasures that thieves constantly attempt to steal. And make no mistake, time thieves are everywhere. Some wear the face of procrastination, others the mask of social media, and still others come disguised as well, meaning people who waste your energy with negativity or unproductive chatter. You must become the guardian of your own clock, setting boundaries that protect your focus and learning to detach from what consumes time without offering growth. This does not mean living without joy or relationships, but it does mean choosing wisely where you invest yourself, because just as you would not hand your life savings to a stranger, you should not hand your precious hours to activities that leave you poorer in spirit, knowledge, or progress. Another truth about wasted time is that its effects are not immediately visible, which is why so many fall into its trap. When you waste money, you can count what is gone, but when you waste time, the loss hides until years pass, and then it appears as unachieved goals, unrealized dreams, and a life that feels incomplete. This is why discipline is essential, for it forces you to recognize that even small amounts of wasted time accumulate into massive loss. 10 minutes wasted daily becomes 60 hours wasted in a year, hours that could have been used to learn, build, create, or transform your life. Multiply this by decades, and the cost becomes immeasurable. Those who achieve success are not always the most talented, but they are those who refuse to allow small, daily wastes of time to grow into lifelong regrets. Think also of how people treat their jobs or obligations. They may spend hours at work, yet much of that time is wasted in daydreaming, chatting, or dragging tasks longer than necessary. This is not only a betrayal of opportunity, but also a habit that bleeds into every area of life, creating a mindset of inefficiency that sabotages potential. In contrast, those who value time treat every moment as a seed. Some seeds they plant in learning, others in relationships, others in rest, but each seed is planted with purpose, and in time these seeds bear fruit. Wasted time, on the other hand, is like throwing seeds on barren ground, expecting a harvest that will never come. Ultimately, wasted time is a form of self-betrayal, for it is you choosing comfort over growth, delay over progress, weakness over strength. And though the world may forgive wasted hours, time itself does not forgive, for it marches forward relentlessly, leaving behind only the consequences of your choices. To master time, you must first master yourself, training your mind to resist the seduction of procrastination and the false comfort of delay, reminding yourself daily that every tick of the clock is either working for you or against you. Successful people are not immune to temptation, but they are aware of its cost, and this awareness drives them to protect their time with vigilance. So let this truth sink deeply into your heart. Money lost can be earned again, but wasted time is lost life, and life once lost is gone forever. Choose wisely, for your future depends not on what you plan someday, but on what you do with the time you hold in your hands right now. CFTR 5 Wise time management is not about filling every second with endless work, nor is it about living in constant exhaustion while chasing the illusion of success. Rather, it is about balance. The art of distributing your hours in such a way that your mind, body, relationships, and ambitions are all nurtured in harmony, because true success is not measured by how busy you appear, but by how meaningfully you live. There are those who believe that, to succeed, they must sacrifice everything: sleep, family, health, peace of mind, on the altar of work, and while they may achieve temporary accomplishments, they often discover that their victories feel hollow, for what is the use of gaining recognition if you lose your health? What is the point of building wealth if you destroy your relationships? What is the meaning of achieving external goals if your inner world collapses from imbalance? On the other hand, there are those who spend too much time in comfort and leisure, convincing themselves that rest is a lifestyle rather than a moment of renewal, and they too fail to achieve anything lasting, for life without effort produces nothing but stagnation. Balance, therefore, is the golden path, where time is given to all areas of life in proportion, ensuring that growth is sustainable, joy is present, and success is complete. To manage time with balance, one must first recognize the different dimensions of life that demand attention: your health, your mind, your work, your relationships, your spiritual growth, and your rest. Ignore any one of these for too long, and imbalance will eventually manifest in ways you cannot ignore. Work excessively while neglecting your health, and soon your body will rebel with fatigue or illness. Pursue wealth while neglecting family, and you may find yourself rich in possessions but poor in love and companionship. Focus solely on relationships while ignoring personal growth, and you may end up dependent on others, unable to stand firm on your own. The wise know that time must be given to each area, not equally perhaps, but intentionally, so that no part of life is left starving. Imagine life as a wheel with different spokes. If one spoke is too short, the wheel cannot roll smoothly, no matter how strong the others are. Balance is the strength of all spokes working together to carry you forward. Balanced time management also means understanding the rhythm of work and rest, for the human body and mind are not machines that can operate endlessly without pause. Rest is not wasted time, it is invested time, for it renews energy, sharpens clarity, and fuels creativity. Consider how great ideas often come not while sitting at a desk under pressure, but during a walk, in the shower, or in a moment of quiet reflection. This is because rest gives the mind space to breathe, to process, and to create connections that stress would otherwise block. But rest without purpose becomes idleness. CATR 6 goals are the compass of time, the guiding force that directs your steps and ensures that your hours are not scattered in meaningless directions, but invested with intention toward a clear destination. For without goals, time drifts away like a boat on an endless sea without a rudder, moving but never arriving, busy but never fulfilled. Every person is given the same 24 hours, but the difference between those who succeed and those who fail lies in how they align those hours with their goals, because a life without goals becomes a life of reaction rather than creation, where you are tossed about by circumstances, distracted by the demands of others, and trapped in cycles of activity that produce little progress. To truly spend time wisely, you must give it purpose through goals, and these goals must not remain vague wishes or distant dreams. They must be written, planned, and broken down into actions that occupy your daily schedule. To say, "I want to succeed," is too weak, too general, too shapeless to give time meaning. But to say, "I will dedicate 1 hour daily to reading and learning, I will spend 30 minutes practicing a new skill, I will save a certain amount each month toward my vision," is to give time direction, structure, and power. Goals are what transform time from empty motion into purposeful movement, from drifting existence into a journey toward mastery. When you fail to set goals, you may find yourself exhausted at the end of each day, having done many things yet achieving nothing that truly matters, because activity without goals is like running in circles. It may tire you, it may even make you feel busy, but it will never move you forward. How many people wake up, go to work, return home, scroll through their devices, and then repeat the cycle endlessly, convincing themselves that they are or too busy to pursue their dreams, when in reality, they have never taken the time to define what their dreams are and to align their daily actions with them. Goals are not optional. CATR 7. Do not underestimate the power of the morning, for the way you spend your mornings shapes the rhythm of your entire day, and the habits you build in those early hours can either push you toward greatness or trap you in mediocrity, because the morning is not just another part of the day, but the foundation upon which the rest of your hours stand, and if the foundation is weak, the structure of your day will collapse. Morning carries with it a special kind of energy, a freshness that cannot be replicated later, because your mind is clear, your body is renewed, and your spirit is unburdened by the weight of the day's distractions, and those who learn to seize this time find themselves ahead of those who waste it. While many sleep late or rise sluggishly, the disciplined rise early, claim the quiet of dawn, and use those sacred hours to invest in growth, reflection, and planning. And this simple choice to win the morning often becomes the secret that separates achievers from dreamers. Consider how 1 hour of focused work in the morning can accomplish more than 3 hours in the afternoon, when fatigue and interruptions steal your focus, because the morning is a field of fertile soil where seeds of discipline and productivity grow most abundantly if planted wisely. Winning the morning does not mean filling it with chaos or rushing into endless tasks, but rather shaping it with intentional habits that prepare you mentally, physically, and spiritually for the challenges ahead. For some, this may mean exercise that strengthens the body, for others, reading or meditation that sharpens the mind, and for others, planning and reflection that provide direction. But in every case, the morning must be owned, not wasted, if success is to be achieved. A distracted morning leads to a wasted day, because when the first hours slip away in laziness, aimlessness, or indulgence in distractions like mindless scrolling or oversleeping, the tone of the day becomes reactive, and instead of controlling your time, you spend it responding to the demands of others and the urgencies of circumstance. On the other hand, a disciplined morning creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human achievement, because once you begin with strength, focus, and clarity, it is far easier to sustain that energy throughout the day. Imagine two individuals. One wakes late, rushes through preparation, begins the day with stress and confusion, and spends the rest of the day catching up. The other rises early, invests in self-growth, sets priorities, and begins calmly with purpose. Which of these two will be more effective, more composed, and more likely to move steadily toward their goals? The answer is obvious, for the morning is not simply the start of the day. It is the launching pad for success or failure. History itself testifies to this truth. As CHPTRA, discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement, the invisible force that transforms goals into reality, dreams into accomplishments, and potential into power, because while motivation may ignite a spark in the heart, it is discipline that keeps the fire burning when the excitement fades, when fatigue sets in, and when temptations whisper in your ear to give up or delay. Many people waste their time not because they lack dreams, but because they lack the self-control to consistently pursue those dreams. For without discipline, time slips through your fingers like sand, wasted on distractions, laziness, and indulgence in what feels good now rather than what builds a better tomorrow. Discipline is not a punishment but a gift, a tool that allows you to harness the fleeting hours of the day and invest them in actions that compound over time into extraordinary results. And every great success story in history has at its foundation a deep commitment to disciplined living. When you wake early, when you choose to work instead of procrastinate, when you save instead of waste, when you study instead of scroll, you are practicing discipline. And though these choices may seem small in the moment, they accumulate into a life of success and fulfillment. Without discipline, goals remain words on paper, plans remain unfinished, and potential remains locked away. But with discipline, even the most ordinary individual can achieve extraordinary results, because discipline multiplies time by turning consistency into progress and progress into mastery. Discipline in time management is the art of saying no more often than saying yes, because every yes to distraction, laziness, or temptation is a no to your dreams, and every no to wasted time is a yes to growth, purpose, and achievement. It is not easy to deny yourself the comfort of sleeping in, the pleasure of endless entertainment, or the ease of postponing hard tasks. But the disciplined understand that comfort today often costs success tomorrow, while sacrifice today creates freedom tomorrow. The irony of discipline is that though it may feel restrictive in the moment, it is the very key to freedom. Because when you discipline your time, you are no longer a slave to distractions, emotions, or external pressures. Instead, you become the master of your hours and the architect of your destiny. Discipline does not mean perfection, for no one lives every moment flawlessly, but it does mean commitment, the willingness to return to your goals after failure. Chapter 9. Focus is the sharp edge of time, the force that cuts through distraction and channels your energy into meaningful progress. Because while time is, multiplies its value, turning a single concentrated hour into the equivalent of many scattered ones. And those who master focus discover that they can accomplish in days what others fail to achieve in months or even years. In a world filled with constant noise, endless notifications, and countless demands for attention, focus has become rarer and more powerful than ever before, and the ability to direct your mind toward one task without being pulled away is a superpower that separates achievers from wanderers. Distraction is the thief of time, And it does not always appear as obvious laziness or procrastination, but often disguises itself as business. Small tasks that seem important yet steal you from the deep work that truly moves your life forward. And so to spend your time wisely, you must learn to discipline your mind, to filter out the noise, and to pour your energy into what matters most. Focus requires clarity, for you cannot concentrate on what you have not defined, which is why goals and priorities must be established first, because once you know what matters most, you can give yourself fully to it, without being swayed by every passing thought or temptation. The great thinkers, inventors, leaders, and creators of history were not those who scattered their energy in every direction, but those who learned to direct their time and attention toward a single vision until it bore fruit. And this is a lesson every CFTR 10. Rest is not the enemy of productivity, but its silent partner, the unseen power that restores your mind, repairs your body, and renews your spirit so that you can meet each day with energy, clarity, and strength. For without rest, even the best time management strategies collapse. And the hours you think you are saving by cutting sleep or skipping moments of pause are actually hours borrowed from your future health, focus, and effectiveness. Too many people treat rest as a weakness, as if pausing is wasting time, but the truth is that rest multiplies the value of your time by ensuring that when you work with full capacity rather than dragging yourself through the day half asleep, unfocused, and drained. Because a tired mind makes poor decisions, a tired body performs poorly, and a tired spirit lacks the motivation to keep pushing forward. To spend time wisely means not only to use your hours for active achievement, but also to protect and prioritize the hours of rest that recharge you for the battles ahead. And this includes quality sleep, meaningful breaks, and moments of stillness where your thoughts can settle and your creativity can breathe. Scientific studies show that rest enhances memory, strengthens learning, and improves problem solving, and countless stories of great innovators reveal that their breakthroughs often came not in moments of constant strain, but in times of rest, reflection, or sleep, proving that productivity is not found in endless grinding, but in the balance of focused work and intentional recovery. Rest is not laziness when it is chosen with wisdom. It is preparation, the sharpening of the saw before cutting wood, the recharging of the battery before running the machine, and those who neglect it eventually burn out, falling behind those who had the discipline to step back and renew themselves. When you rest, you honor the natural rhythms of life, the cycles of exertion and renewal that govern not only your body, but the world around you. For even the strongest athletes know that training without recovery leads to injury, and even the most advanced machines require maintenance to avoid breaking down, and so too does the human being need deliberate rest to maintain the power to perform at their highest level. Proper rest also teaches you patience, reminding you that success is not built in a single day of frantic activity, but through consistent effort sustained across weeks, months, and years. And sustaining effort is impossible without giving your body and mind the gift of rest. This is why sleep should not be sacrificed for extra hours of work, because those gained hours are quickly lost in the mistakes, fatigue, and lack of focus that follow, whereas a well-rested person accomplishes in fewer hours what the exhausted person struggles to achieve in many. Rest also provides perspective, for when you step away from your work, you return with clearer eyes, fresh ideas, and renewed motivation. And sometimes the very problem that seemed unsolvable reveals its answer when the mind has had time to relax and reorganize itself in silence. To spend time wisely, therefore, is not merely to chase tasks endlessly, but to schedule rest deliberately, to see it not as wasted time, but as invested time, the soil in which energy, creativity, and resilience grow. Those who master the balance of work and rest live not only more productive lives, but more joyful, meaningful ones, because they understand that life is not only about how much you can do, but about sustaining the strength to keep doing it for the long journey ahead. CHTR 11. Procrastination is the silent thief of time, the hidden enemy that disguises itself in excuses, delays, and promises of later, while it slowly robs you of opportunities, progress, and success. And though it often feels harmless in the moment, it is one of the most disruptive habits a person can develop, because every time you delay action, you surrender control of your time to hesitation and fear. To spend your time wisely, you must learn to confront procrastination head on, for it is not only about laziness, but about fear of failure, lack of clarity, perfectionism, or the comfort of avoiding what is difficult. And the longer you allow procrastination to control you, the heavier the weight of unfinished tasks becomes, pressing down on your energy, your focus, and your confidence. Each day you put off an important task, you not only lose the hours but also the momentum, because work delayed becomes work doubled. As deadlines tighten, stress increases, and the quality of your effort decreases, while the habit of avoidance grows stronger. Procrastination whispers that tomorrow will be better, that you will be more ready later. But tomorrow brings its own challenges, and readiness never comes from waiting but from doing. And so the antidote to procrastination is action, however small, because even the tiniest step forward builds momentum and weakens the grip of delay. The wise understand that time is not waiting for anyone, that opportunities are perishable, and that one of the greatest regrets in life is not what we failed at, but what we never attempted because we kept postponing the first step. Overcoming procrastination requires clarity of goals, discipline of mind, and the courage to begin before you feel fully prepared, because waiting for the perfect moment is the perfect recipe for wasting your life. Every great accomplishment, every invention, every book, every business began not with endless planning or delay, but with the decision to act, to take the first imperfect step, and then to keep moving forward. And this is the secret to reclaiming time from procrastination. Start, no matter how small, and let action generate the clarity and confidence you thought you needed beforehand. When you master this, procrastination loses its power, and your hours, once stolen by hesitation, become invested in building the life you truly desire. CHDR 12. Prioritization is the art of placing first things first, the discipline of knowing that not all tasks are equal, that not every demand on your time deserves your attention, and that success is not about doing everything, but about doing the right things in the right order. Because the truth is that time is too short to waste on activities that do not move you closer to your goals, and yet countless people exhaust themselves each day chasing the urgent instead of the important, mistaking business for progress while their dreams remain untouched. To spend your time wisely, you must learn to distinguish between what matters most and what merely fills the hours, for while emails, messages, and small tasks may feel pressing, they rarely create long-term growth or lasting achievement, whereas dedicating your best energy to meaningful goals produces results that shape your future. Prioritization means identifying the activities that yield the greatest return on your investment of time, understanding that doing one high-value task with focus is more impactful than doing 10 low-value tasks with distraction. And this requires clarity, courage, and consistency. Clarity to know what truly matters, courage to say no to the less important, and consistency to repeat this discipline daily. Many people struggle with prioritization because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths, that they cannot do everything, that some demands must be declined, that some relationships or habits drain rather than build, and that choosing the important often requires sacrificing the easy, the urgent, or the entertaining. But those who master prioritization become architects of their destiny, shaping each day with intention, beginning with what matters most while their energy and focus are strongest, and refusing to allow the trivial to consume the precious hours of their lives. History is filled with examples of people who achieved greatness not by working longer hours than everyone else, but by focusing their limited time on their highest priorities. And in the same way, you too can elevate your life by learning this essential skill. To prioritize is to respect time, to honor your goals, and to acknowledge that every yes must be measured carefully, for behind it lies 1,000 silent no's to other possibilities, and only by choosing wisely can you ensure that your time is invested, not wasted, in the pursuit of a life of success, meaning, and fulfillment. Ftr 13 time wasted with negative company is one of the greatest unseen drains on life. For the people you surround yourself with either pull you upward toward growth, vision, and purpose, or they drag you downward into doubt, laziness, and distraction. And to spend your time wisely, you must understand that relationships are not neutral. They are either an investment or an expense, either adding value to your life or subtracting from it. And the choice of who occupies your hours is as important as how you structure your hours. Many people lose years of their lives not because they lacked ambition, discipline, or opportunity, but because they allowed themselves to be trapped in circles of negativity, gossip, and mediocrity, where dreams are mocked, efforts are discouraged, and excuses are celebrated more than achievements. And in such environments, even the strongest vision is slowly poisoned by doubt and wasted potential. If you want to rise higher, you must walk with those who lift you, challenge you, and inspire you, because just as iron sharpens iron, so too does the company you keep sharpen or dull your character, habits, and destiny. Choosing positive company does not mean surrounding yourself only with those who praise you, but with those who push you toward growth, who speak truth even when it stings, who celebrate progress instead of feeding distraction, and who remind you of your potential when you are tempted to settle for less. Every moment you spend with others is an exchange. Either you give and receive strength, wisdom, and encouragement, or you waste energy on conversations that lead nowhere, activities that serve no purpose, and attitudes that breed weakness rather than strength. And if you truly value your time, you will guard it by setting boundaries, saying no to toxic influences, and intentionally building a circle that reflects the future you seek. To waste time with negative company is to hand over your most precious resource to people who neither value it nor respect it, and once those hours are gone, they cannot be reclaimed, which is why the wise carefully choose their companions, understanding that time spent with the wrong people costs more than money. It costs direction, focus, and destiny. Success, joy, and growth thrive in the soil of supportive, driven, and positive relationships, while failure, regret, and stagnation grow in the company of the negative. And so the decision of who walks with you is ultimately a decision of where your life will go. For no one climbs a mountain while tied to those who choose to stay in the valley. Ftr 14 reflection is the mirror of time, the practice of pausing to look back with honesty, to learn from what has passed, and to adjust your path for what lies ahead. And without it, you may move quickly but blindly, repeating the same mistakes and wasting the same hours without ever realizing why progress feels out of reach. For time spent without reflection is like walking in circles, motion without direction, effort without improvement, and activity without wisdom. To spend your time wisely is not only to act, but to review your actions, to ask yourself whether the hours you invested yesterday moved you closer to your goals, or merely filled your schedule. And this discipline of reflection turns ordinary experiences into extraordinary lessons. For every success carries insights that can be repeated, and every failure carries warnings that can be avoided, but only if you take the time to notice them. Reflection requires honesty, for it demands that you face truths you may prefer to ignore, that perhaps you wasted time on distractions, that perhaps you avoided difficult tasks, that perhaps you gave your best energy to the wrong priorities. And though such realizations may sting, They are the foundation of growth, because wisdom is not born from perfection, but from the courage to learn. In reflection, you gain perspective, for the urgency of the moment often blinds you, but looking back allows you to see patterns, habits, and consequences more clearly, and with this clarity you can refine your strategy, improve your focus, and make better use of the time still before you. Great leaders, thinkers, and achievers throughout history practiced reflection regularly, whether through journaling, meditation, or quiet review, understanding that progress is not just the result of action, but of thoughtful correction. And in the same way, you too must make reflection a habit, not an afterthought. Just as a sailor checks the compass to ensure the ship is on course, you must check your days, weeks, and years to ensure your life is aligned with your vision, because drifting off course, for even a short while can, over time, take you far from your intended destination. But reflection allows you to correct. CHP 15 Legacy is the ultimate measure of how you spent your time, the footprint you leave behind when your hours on this earth are complete. And to live wisely is to understand that every day, every decision, and every action is writing the story that will outlive you, shaping how you are remembered, and what impact continues after you are gone. Time is not only about achieving personal success or collecting material rewards, but about building something greater than yourself, something that lasts from lies and contributes to the progress of the world. Because wealth fades, possessions decay, and titles are forgotten, but the influence of a meaningful life continues to echo long after your final breath. Spending your time with legacy in mind changes how you live today, for it forces you to ask deeper questions. Am I using my hours to build something lasting? Am I pouring into people, into ideas, into actions that will endure beyond me? Am I leaving behind wisdom, kindness, courage, and inspiration? Or am I wasting my life on fleeting pleasures and trivial pursuits that vanish with time? Legacy is not built in grand moments, but in the daily choices of how you spend your time. Whether you choose to mentor instead of ignore, to create instead of consume, to love instead of resent, and to build instead of destroy, because these small decisions accumulate into a life that speaks loudly even in silence. To spend time wisely for legacy is to think generationally, to plant seeds that may not bear fruit in your lifetime, but will shade and feed others long after you are gone. And this requires vision, patience, and the humility to know that life is not only about you, but about those who come after. Your legacy may be in the children you raise, the work you create, the values you uphold, or the lives you touch with compassion and service. But whatever form it takes, it is the truest reflection of how you valued your time. When your final day comes, and time is no longer yours to spend, the question will not be how many hours you lived, but how well you lived them. And those who kept legacy at the center of their time find peace in knowing their life mattered, that their hours were not wasted, and that they left the world better than they found it.